we are finally covering Grasp of Avarice, which will be my final dungeon that I'll be going over for my solo Flawless guide. Today we're going to be going over how to beat this dungeon on Titan, then in the future I'll be going over Warlock and Hunter. Just before you get into the guide, if you ever need any extra help or are looking for more information, feel free to stop by the streams or join my Discord. There you can contact me easier, and I can try to personally help you out. I just ask that you give me some time to respond so that I might end up being busy. Anyways, let's get right into the video. Starting off with our subclass. If you're looking for one loadout to run the whole time, with the most being maybe swapping an exotic around, then I'm going to recommend running Solar. Solar works well for all the encounters, since it provides a good amount of damage from its supers, Burning Maul or Hammer of Soul, and gives us an option to keep ourselves alive. The way Solar is going to do this is by allowing us to use healing grenades which grant restoration, which heals us over time. This, in tandem with the Solar weapon, will help us keep our restoration up for almost an infinite amount of time as long as we're using Ember of Empyrean. Now onto the encounter. For our first encounter, we're going to rock Burning Maul with the options of either using Synthoceps and swapping to Pyrogales, or just using Pyrogales straight up. I personally like swapping my exotics around to help kill the Knights faster, but honestly you should be fine without using Synthoceps at all this whole dungeon. For weapons, I ran Dragon's Breath and Scatter Signal for damage, while using Callous Mini Tool as my solar weapon to kill ads. Feel free to substitute any solar weapon out for Callous Mini Tool. I just love using that gun for killing ads and didn't feel the need to run anything else in that slot. Then for second encounter, we're going to run whatever we want as long as we can kill ads and make easy work of the Captain's and Servitor. The only thing I swapped up here was my heavy weapon, and I changed that to an Eager Edge Sword for mobility. This is just an ad clear encounter, so run whatever you want. Just make sure you can keep yourself alive and you're watching out for your Burdens of Riches timer. Then for the final encounter, I'm going to recommend running Hammer of Soul with Lornly Splendor and Leviathan's Breath. We're going to try to play behind one of the pillars behind where the boss spawns, so we don't get shot by the boss and the ads on both sides of the map. I also think Leviathan's Breath has really good consistent damage, which will end up netting us around a 4 phase if we can hit enough headshots. Dragon's Breath works really well here too, but it's much more risky and in the boss's face. I'll talk more about that during the loadout section if you're interested in that. Alright, let's move into my loadout setup and how I built my Titan, and then we'll move straight into phase examples so you can see exactly how I beat this dungeon. Alright, so starting off with our subclass, we're obviously running Solar. When you're running Burning Maul for really the entire dungeon. You can swap it up though and run Hammer of Soul if you want, and I'll go more over that when I go over my weapons. I have a couple notes I wrote down for damage and phases that I got with certain things. So I'll explain that in a second. You can decide what you want to run, but I'm just going to run Burning Maul. Up to you really though. Tower and Barricade, more cover. Rally Barricade, you get a little bit of buffs for handling and stability and reload speed and that kind of stuff. So apparently not handling, my bad. Anyways, jumps up to you. Throwing Hammer is kind of just a go-to for Solar. Healing Grenade, you are going to get healing from Soul Invictus just by walking in the stun spot, and then you can keep it up with Ember of Empyrean. But if you need to panic heal, or you can't get to a stun spot and you don't have Restoration, this is the way to get it. If you want to swap it out and go Solar Grenade or Fusion, Fusion's for damage, Solar for ad clear, and you can do damage as well with these. But Fusions are just better in my opinion, so up to you, whatever you want to run there. I'm going to recommend healing though. Then for aspects, Roaring Flames and Soul Invictus. Roaring Flames would just net us more damage with our Solar Super and abilities in general, as long as you get it up 3 stacks to get the most out of it. And then Soul Invictus, whenever you make a stun spot, you will have your Super Drain slower, which doesn't matter if you're using Pyrogale, so keep that in mind. It's mainly for Hammer of Soul, or if you're spamming your Pyrogale, or sorry, your Burning Maul right click, or your heavy swing. Your Super Drain slower in stun spots, your abilities regenerate faster, and you get restoration just from walking through a sunspot. So very, very useful. And then you have Consecration. I've already talked about Consecration in the Warlock guide I made after, which I think is the Warlock guide for Prophecy. Oh yeah, it was. So my Warlock guide for Prophecy, I went over this. I misspoke in my Titan video saying Consecration is useless. I didn't literally mean useless, but in terms of doing the most amount of damage, it's the worst aspect out of all of them. It's still pretty good. But remember, you're going to need to build into melee regeneration, including the fragments as well, so just keep that in mind. I personally don't like it. It does look pretty cool, but I'm never going to use it over the other two. I like to maximize my damage, personally. So that's what I'm going to recommend. And then for fragments, the most important ones are Ember of Torches and Ember of Empyrean. Ember of Torches will give you Radiant unpowered melee attacks, and Ember of Empyrean will extend the Restoration and Radiant buffs from getting Solar Weapon or Ability Final Blows. And then Ember of Solace and Ember of Ashes. Ember of Ashes will increase the Scorch stacks applied to targets. Sorry, that's a cluster. Say that right there. And then Ember of Solace will increase the base duration of Radiant and Restoration. That means when you get Radiant or Restoration, it goes from 3 seconds to 6 seconds when you have this on. This is just for leniency, quality of life. Ember of Ashes as well is a quality of life thing. I know Ember of Mercy finally got fixed a little bit ago, so if you want to If you're making a lot of fire sprites, you can go ahead and put this on. Just walk through, you get restoration as well. And then if you don't run healing grenade, you can run armor resolve, or there's some other things you can run in through here. Just make sure that you run what you like the most, and that you're at least running Ember of Empyrean, at a minimum Ember of Empyrean, and I would still very highly recommend Ember of Torches. So that's what I'm gonna say there. For armor mods, if you want to just take a screenshot, you can. I'll have it in a dim link though. Here it is right there. And then going over our armor pieces in general. I'm running heavy ammo finders because I just like to have a lot of heavy. You also will, the damage phases aren't long enough, or aren't short enough back to back to where you're going to need something like a super generating mod or like max intellect. You're not going to need that. So I would rather just run heavy ammo finders. And then very, very important is harmonic siphon, or whatever primary weapon you end up running. The reason I run harmonic siphon is because, one, it's the only thing I can fit in here when I'm running 3, 3, and 3. That's 9 out of 10. Add the 1, that's 10 out of 10 to max it out. Can't run anything higher than 1. So this is where we're going to be getting a lot of our armor charges for our damage. Or if you end up using the consumable mods, that's where we're going to get that from. And then alongside that, we're going to be using heavy-handed as well, because we're using our hammer for most of the time. This cooldown is a lot higher than the siphon mod. So this is kind of just like every once in a while compared to like every other kill kind of thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but the ratio at which you get orbs off of heavy-handed is a lot less than siphons. So still good to run. You don't need it, but I still think it's pretty nice. I'm running a dexterity mod just for swapping my weapons faster, my solar weapons faster, because it's the only things I really end up using. You don't need this. It's just what I have on. You get higher DPS with it because you're able to switch back faster. And then focusing strike, you can sub this out for bolstering detonation or impact induction or momentum transfer. Just up to you. That was kind of just another fill-in slot. Really, the arms aren't super crazy, but I actually really like dexterity mods. So for our chest, depends on what you're doing, but for the most part, concussive dampener should just be fine for everything. Watch out for void, and I think arc damage is what you want to have on as well. Or again, it depends on what encounter you're in. Different enemies do different types of damage, so just try to account for it. This is what I have on for now. You can swap these in and out as you please. And then for our legs, I'm just running triple surges. If you want to sub one out and put on a scavenger mod, that it works plenty good as well. If you like to min-max your damage, then don't put a scav on, and put a scav on like your legs. And then when you find ammo, just swap to the legs real quick, pick up the ammo, swap back. So up to you there. Quality of if you just want to have a nice run, just put on one scavenger run. You don't have to swap any, or just put on one scavenger mod, and you don't have to like swap anything around mid encounter. So up to you there. That's what I personally recommend. And then for the mark, 2 time dilations will give you 18 seconds of armor charges. Plenty of time to get off, most damage phases, as long as you grab an orb just before the damage phase starts. I mean, you have all 3 of them, and you grab one to top it off. And honestly, nothing else here is super, super crazy. Special finisher is nice. Honestly, I think that's about it. These are all situational. This is a good word, a good way to put it. So for the first encounter, we're gonna go over weapons real quick. The first encounter, I ran Dragon's Breath, Scatter, Signal, Callus. Pretty straightforward. Rocket, fusion, 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 fusion. Rocket, fusion, 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 etc. And then I was also using Pyrogale there. I would Pyrogale and then start that rotation. You should be able to very solidly do a 2 to 3 phase, something like that. As long as you have the rotation down nice and pat. For second encounter, it's just whatever you want. I ended up using the new Slammer Adept. Really cool. Eager Edge. I just wanted to try it out. You could use any Eager Edge sword. I just like Eager Edge. I like Eager Edge a lot. You could also run this like Ad Clear. If you're gonna run Ad Clear and you want to keep your restoration up, run a solar LMG or anything solar that you like. Maybe a solar grenade launcher. And then for the final boss, so for the final boss, there's a couple different things you can run. I decided to go with Leviathan's Breath. I said it earlier, it's consistent, the damage is always pretty solid, even though it may not be the best, and you can play range, which means you're not going to get stomped, you're not going to blow yourself up, stuff like that. So I ran Leviathan's Breath here. This was my main damage, and then make sure when you have Leviathan's Breath on, you are running a Void Loader mod right here. Run a Void Loader mod, more DPS. You can stack those if you want. Or maybe you have an extra arm you want to swap to when DPS starts. And then I actually don't use my super at all for third encounter. So, what this means is, for third encounter, you run out of heavy ammo. Maybe you run Hammer of Soul, so you can play from a range. And get some extra damage off there. Or you could just run either one of these just for ad clear. Really, it's up to you. Remember the burdens, the riches, burden of riches, whatever it's called. When you pick up 10, you get your super back. So what I like to do is when the encounter would start, I would have Burning Maul on the whole time. And I would use Pyro Gales, and I would kill the Shank and the Fallen guy, I forgot what, the Vandal, as soon as they come out, and then I would just play the rest on the counter with my guns normally. So that's how I like to do it. So what I guess like the base recommendation is going to be run Pyro Gales for the whole thing, and just use it to kill the 2 annoying guys in the middle, and that's it. You don't need it for anything else. But if you want to get off more damage, then you can use Hammer of Soul, do the same thing. Might take a little longer to kill the 2 guys in the middle, but it's really not that big of a deal. And then for some other options I ran, you could run Dragon's Breath. So for the best damage phase I got was Dragon's Breath with 3 times Roaring Flames, Pyro Gale, but that required a lot of juggling buffs, and you had to worry about your Burdens of Riches timer. So you would have to get your Roaring Flames times 3, your armor charges maxed, made sure your Burdens of Riches were, you know, like the 55 or 60 that you have to deposit, and the timer wasn't low enough to where it would kill you. So you have a lot to juggle there, which is a little too much. But that got me about a 3 phase. Leviathan's Breath got me about a 4 phase, on average. And then, a little bit different, I ran Leviathan's Breath Arc with Thunder Crash, and that netted me about a 3 phase as well. But the issue with Arc is the only healing you get off of Arc is when you get melee kills. So if I go over to Arc right here, the knockout, I think it is. Yeah, defeating targets with melee attacks starts health regeneration and makes you amplified. This is the only healing you're really getting. So if there's no ads nearby and you don't have your barricade, you're kind of screwed. Although, I'm pretty sure if you run Precious Scars, final blows from weapons with the damage type matching your subclass energy, create a burst of healing around you, and grants your allies restoration. You could run Precious Scars here, and run something like Ikellis SMG, or that one Ron Pulse Rifle, I forgot what it's called. Really anything, just make sure it matches your subclass. You could run Precious Scars instead. I have never ran it before, so, you know, don't quote me on it, but it seems like it'd work pretty solidly there. Shout out to one of the guys in my chat who brought it up. That's a pretty nice option as well, but remember you're using Cures for a lot of damage there, so do you want to lose the damage, or do you want to stay alive, or do you want to swap in the middle of the encounter? So, I don't know. Up to you guys, you can decide that. I'm going to show you my run later. If you just want the flat-out, easy run, just run Leviathan's Breath, keep it sweet and simple. Make sure you have Void Loaders on, and make sure you swap your surges. Okay. That's a lot to go over. A lot more than most guides, or most of my other guides, just because it's a little weird for Titan, especially with the timer for your Birds of Riches. So, besides that, Warlock and Hunter should be a lot more simple. Hopefully it is. I'm going to show you the damage phase examples now, and then that should be it. I'll let you know if I forgot anything, or if you let me know if I forgot anything. I will put it in the comments or Discord or something like that. So, just let me know in the comments. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in just a second. Hello, I'm back. Let's go over our phases real quick. I will show you one phase from each encounter, except for the second phase, or for the second encounter, because this is like ad clear. I'll just show you like one. Yeah, I'll probably just show you one of me finding the servitors, and I'll just give you enough time to get all my tips out and all that kind of stuff. So, and then for third encounter, I'll show you one phase as well. So, starting off, you're gonna go grab the Scorch Cannon. The Ogres and the Hive will actually kill the Fallen if you take long enough. So you don't even have to kill the Vandal half the time. Pick up the Scorch Cannon. The Scorch Cannon, I want to say, has like a 10-second timer before it despawns, something like that. It will despawn. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't, or if it does despawn, you can just go and get a new one. But you're looking to get, I think it's 25 burdens. So try to get around 25. You should have plenty to do this, so you don't need to pick up every single one. Remember, every 10 burdens you get your super back, so feel free to use your super as many times as you want. Panic super if you need to live. And I think the max you can carry burden wise, I think is like 100. It's some number, I don't know. But I know as a solo player you can carry enough for the final encounter, and that's like 55, 60-ish, something around there. So it's pretty straightforward. You're just killing ads once you get around. So yeah, it is 25. Once you get to 25, we're gonna go and deposit. What I like to do is before damage phase starts, I like to get my roaring flames up. Sorry, let me get this off the flashbang. So before damage phase starts, I went and meleeed a couple enemies with my hammer. You see me do it right here, right now. I can't see it very well, and you may not be able to see. So like right there, you saw roaring flames through for like a split second. That's because again, Bungie's the UI is not. There's too many buffs or debuffs or whatever in this game. You can't see all your buffs at once. It sucks. Bungie really needs to do something about that. But I know my roaring flames 3 is here now. And I'm swapping over to my Pyrogales while all this is depositing. Put up a shield. The thralls will go through it. They'll walk backwards. Or you just hit an enemy, put a sunspot down at your feet. Then you basically won't ever die. So I swap the Pyrogales heal. I have my armor charges up all the way. And then I'm going to start my damage phase. I'm just waiting for the ogre to go into his phase. As soon as that happens, you hear the noise. I'm going to start with the rocket, Pyrogale, and then fusion. You heard the chick. That's my auto loading. Gonna swap back, and then I'm just gonna continue. So Dragon's Breath is a little weird, where it's always about a 3 to 4 fusion shots for my scatter signal, at least. It's about 3 to 4 fusion shots when you'll hear the auto loading reproc, right? So I just play it safe for testing purposes. I just try to do 4, although sometimes I know in some of my other guys I did 3. But it's around a 3 to 4 range. Just try to listen for the chiching. I know it's kind of hard to hear depending on what encounter you're doing. But as you can see there, very simple rocket fusion, rocket fusion, rocket fusion. There's basically no ads that are gonna shoot you this encounter, so you should be good to go. If you want to play safe, run Lordly Splendor. I will leave that up to you. So that's it for that encounter. Pretty easy. I'm gonna show you the Sparrow encounter too, real quick, just because I know. This, honestly, a lot of people, back in the day when when you were doing this solo falls the first time and you didn't have always on time, people were looking up guides and shit, so. When your Sparrow starts to smoke, make sure you're looking out for a spot for you to jump off your Sparrow and restart it, because if your Sparrow blows up the timer's going to be insanely long. So you could run a Negro Sword if you want here. If you know how to well skate or shatter skate, that'd be really useful. Well, again, we're on Titan, so it doesn't matter. And then 2, you get all of your boosts back. Although for skimmers, it doesn't matter that much. So another thing is there's 2 time extenders for each encounter. So if I rewind it just a little bit, I'll let this play back real quick. You'll see there's 2. So there's one on the right side and one on the left side. So what I like to do is I start off right. So here's the first one. It's that little node right there. It's going to give us a time bump. So it's like 4 or 5 seconds. And then the other one's right there, right. Just using my mouse right here. So there's 2 in each area. And you want to try to at least hit 1. Also, make sure when you pull out your Sparrow and you're falling to the ground, when you pull out your Sparrow, you're going to take that fall damage still. So be ready for that. Another one's right here, immediately on this first debris on the right, and then the next one's going to be left up on this little hill. What's nice though is that Bungie buffed all the Sparrows. Now they're all always on time speed, so really useful. This next area, you're going to go right through the middle crate. You're going to hit it right here. And then you're going to go left into the big dome. Honestly, I've never, I don't ever see anybody go right anyways, so this one's pretty easy to hit. It's on the wall right there. And then you'll have one more area. You're going to go all the way right here, hit the ramp, and then you're going to go all the way, all the way left and hit the ramp, or the little booster thing up top. And that's it. It's pretty easy. And you just gotta watch out for your Sparrow blowing up, and dying to fall damage, stuff like that. Make sure you play safe. Pretty straightforward though. Yeah, that's it. Secret chest is up at the top right from where I was just looking, if you want that as well. Here's the second encounter. I'm just gonna show you one phase here because this is a decently long encounter. So what's nice here is that the cannon, your Scorch Cannon, you only have to hit the generators once. Unlike in the last encounter where you had to charge it up to go for the 3 tick. In that encounter, you have to do 3, and same thing with the final encounter. In this one, you don't. So it's very nice. You can just shoot it once. I think the way the cannons rotate is by the way you're looking. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. What you're looking for here, you're looking for the servitor with the white shield, the invulnerable shield. It'll only spawn at 1 at a time. So as soon as you see the big white shield, that means you know where you have to go. If you're not super familiar with this encounter, you should be if you're doing solo files, but you kill a servitor by depositing like 20, 25, 30-ish burdens, and then once the servitor dies, you're just going to roll them down to the cannon, aim the cannon straight at the middle of the map, and it will blow up the little orange node thingy. I struggled here to get my burdens of riches. I felt like the ads weren't spawning fast enough. I wasn't sure if I was just tripping or if I... This is also my first attempt. I did this my first run. Because I remembered it pretty well enough to the point where I didn't think I needed to re-record, and, you know, I didn't do something so bad that I was like, oh, can't re-record that one, you know? Or, like, I just fucked up so bad that it shouldn't even be shown. But, yeah. So, just gonna deposit everything. You know, it might be 20 burdens. I don't know. You do have to do this a good bit, but I think it's 20. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, 20. You hear that loud noise from the crystal, and then all you're gonna do is you're just gonna push the servitor ball straight to the cannon, and that's it. Usually there's like a little path that you can push it down, like that. Like you see how like this hill just goes straight to the cannon. There's usually one of those on every little node. Another thing that's nice here is that you can use your eager edge instead of the cannon to get you to parts of the map if you want. Remember to deposit all of your burdens. I almost forgot, like, multiple times to do that. So make sure you deposit all your burdens, because it will get you killed. So. Alright, so there's that encounter. And then here is the final boss. So here, what I like to do is run... I'm running Lornly for the most part, but what I like to do is I like to start off with Pyrogale and kill all the ads. Here, I don't do it, I don't think. You don't need to do Pyrogales, but it's just nice you just get it one and done. If you don't want to spot Pyrogale, it's completely fine. You're just going to have to kill the ads. You might have to kill the ads afterwards. Just pop Burning Ball normally, and just spam it at the door when you know they start spawning. So you're just going to kill these guys real fast. The Vandal will drop 10 burdens, so that's a free 10 right there. Give you super bag. Sometimes they like to fall in the pit. So yeah, like right there, he's a good bit of healing there. Didn't get my restoration there, which was kind of irritating. Because the Burning Maul things, they don't count as sunspots. Like the little tornadoes, they don't count as sunspots. So you need to make sure... you need to make sure that you have made a sunspot or you have your grenade ready beforehand. And then here, I'm just going to kill him real quick. I'm going to use my fusion rifle. I'm going to get plenty of special ammo throughout the rest of this, throwing my hammer at it. You can actually finish this guy. Once he's low enough, you just hit a finisher on him. And that's it. So the rest of this counter is pretty straightforward. We're just going to go around and charge up all the little nodes, all the little cannon, like, receptacle thingies on the sides. And then we're just going to deposit them all. I might skip around this part, because it is pretty much just me doing the same shit over and over again. It's just me picking up the Scorch Cannon, charging it, and going over and over again. Making sure I get up to 60, 55, whatever it is. Sorry, I don't know the exact number. I swear it used to just be 50 or 60, like a flat number, but I feel like I deposited 55 one time, and I don't know. So forgive me. If you really care, you can look it up. But you're gonna be doing them in 20s anyways, so it's not really a big deal, and you have the 10 at the beginning anyways. So just play safe, do 60. Another thing that's nice is that when you're carrying the cannon, so if you played a Solar Titan before, you know that just because your hammer is inflicting solar, or if you lose your hammer, right, your normal melee still has like solar imbued into it when it's charged, and that means you have to have gotten some sort of stack of like Roaring Flames or Radiant or something like that. It's something like that. I know you have to do something beforehand, so like what I do is I just get a normal hammer kill, and then my normal fist, my unpowered melee, will count as a solar melee, so I can keep my restoration and radiant buffs up while carrying the solar cannon, which is super nice. So just keep that in mind. You don't need to drop your Scorch Cannon every time you want to get some more restoration or radiant up. You can just punch normally as long as you've been Roaring Flames or Radiant or something like that before that. So as long as you hold the buff, you should be good. And so this is what I was talking about earlier. So my armor charges are super low. I probably have Roaring Flames 3 here, but I don't plan on using my super, so it doesn't really matter. So let's say you were doing a Dragon's Breath Pyrogale run. You would have to make sure your Roaring Flames are ×3, your armor charges are maxed out, and your Burden of Riches aren't going to kill you. But my Burdens of Riches are at 15 seconds, which if I fuck up killing some of these ads like that, and I don't get my max armor charges, then I'm going to be missing some damage. So look, I only have 2 armor charges here. I'm like, I just got to go or I'm going to die. So I got to deposit them all. And this run isn't perfect. You'll see for my damage. I end up running out of armor charges, but what's nice is that I still do a good amount of damage here, which means you can fuck up and still do good damage. So what I like to do is, it depends on how you want to play this. If there are too many ads on the left and right, go to one of the go to the left pillar. So there's a pillar like over here, not the big arc, like not the big halo arc, but on the left side of that, there's like a pillar that you have to jump to. I like to play behind that pillar and do damage. But I'm pretty comfortable right now, so I'm starting off in the middle. I like the hip fire headshot here because the bows are pretty accurate. And when you aim down sights, you can't see your radar. So one thing I did notice about Leviathan's Breath is that the boss likes to turn a lot when he gets that like volatile explosion. So it's kind of iffy. But you should be pretty good for the most part here. You're gonna net a 4-phase. Even with like, look, I ran out of armor charges, and I still got a 4-phase. You can, see right there, is that the V right in between the O and the V. You also, now I'm thinking about it, you don't necessarily need to go to that pillar. You're gonna lose some damage there. I forgot that beforehand when I was doing that, I wasn't using Lornly Splendor. Now that you are using Lornly Splendor though, you can just play in the middle the whole time. You should be good. Put up a shield to your left or right. Just take a little less damage. But yeah, it's using Leviathan's Breath and Lornly makes this a lot simpler, and you're gonna get a 4-phase anyways, as long as you hit mostly headshots. And your armor charges aren't completely gone. But I ran out of armor charges here, and I still got a 4-phase. So, but yeah, that's it. Not the craziest, although this boss is a lot more tanky than like Prophecy. So, if you're jumping straight from Prophecy to this, you're gonna have to take a little longer to do it. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking. Can't do anything about it right now. So, but yeah, that's it. I'm gonna roll the outro in a second. And if there's anything I forgot, I'll leave it in the comments or the Discord, or you guys can let me know. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching the video. If anything helped, please let me know by leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. I still have the Hunter and Warlock guides coming out soon, so don't worry if you don't want to play Titan. And then after that, I should have a video coming out about how to build your own solo flawless loadouts and what to look out for when you're building them. I also make Tarkov content, even though I haven't posted any recently, since the game hasn't been super interesting at the moment. And I might switch over to making some other content soon, so let me know if that sounds cool. There's a members program if you want to join that as well. It's just for supporting the channel, and you don't get any sort of real benefits. You'll get some badges for the live streams, a cool Discord role, and maybe some early access to videos if I decide to post them early enough. Just remember this is a subscription-based model, so please cancel whenever you're done. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you around.